Good morning. It's bright and early this morning. One of the reasons why I'm making this video today is because over the last couple of days, I've received a couple inboxes which have led to some conversations. One in particular, one sister said to me, Algenoy, do you see black women getting dragged in social media? I didn't initially know what she was talking about. So I went to social media, checked it out, and found out that a lot of it had to do with the Gayle King interview of Lisa Leslie regarding the death of Kobe Bryant. Now, I remember the morning when I found out that Kobe Bryant had passed away, and I remember the deep sadness that I felt for a couple reasons. I'm a lifelong Michael Jordan fan. I felt and still feel that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. But I'm particularly interested in excellence and the degree to which he worked extremely hard in order to master his craft or whatever he was getting into. I highly respect it. When he was on the basketball court, he was single-mindedly focused on being the best, and he essentially did that. He wasn't the best of all time per se, but anybody who's compared or even in the same sentence as Michael Jordan, it's a lot to be said about that. But I was more impressed with him since he had retired. I have a daughter. Everyone knows that. I have a daughter that I love and adore immensely. And the level of parenting that I saw on his part, I recently put up a post where I said parenting is not providing. And this is an individual who has the ability to provide beyond most of our wildest dreams. And he did more than just provide. He actually parented. He was there coaching her. He was there giving her wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in a lot of situations. So for that, I really respected that. I respected his direction in trying to push the conversation forward about women in sports and pushing that narrative, highlighting their excellence. And I know his daughter was a big catalyst in making that happen. So because I have a daughter, and hearing about how the daughter passed with him, it was definitely an emotional moment, to say the least. Me thinking about the love that I have for my daughter, and Kobe Bryant's passing as a catalyst for me to refocus on that meant a lot. But that being said, we're here to talk about the dragging that was done. So it was done via a Gayle King interview where she interviewed Lisa Leslie, and she brought up the topic of Kobe's allegations, and the response to by the community, by some in the community, was overwhelmingly negative, man. It was problematic. I saw one post by the brother Snoop Dogg. I'm hip hop to the core, love hip hop, and to see that brother call her, I think he said, a dog head bitch, and there were other posts. Now, when it comes to holding people accountable for the narratives in our community, I'm all for that, right? If you have journalists, whether they're black or not black, if it pertains to one of ours, I have no issue with our community holding these journalists and various media platforms accountable for the narrative that they put out there to the world. I think historically, there has been times where it's been extremely problematic. And for us to hold Gayle, Oprah's name was mentioned several times, for us to hold Gayle accountable, holding Oprah accountable, holding any person that has that type of power, especially when that power is used to project images primarily to a white audience, for us as a community to hold those groups and individuals accountable, I think is 100% in line. I think we should do that, absolutely do that. But there's a way for it to be done, right? And it's interesting that the issue was centered around Gayle asking about the allegations of rape and the allegations of rape culture. And the response to those, to that is for her to be called a dog head bitch. In fact, part of the video when Snoop was like, should I call it? Should I say it? Should I say it? Knowing that he's getting fueled by that word, and using a word to correct a sister that has historically been used to abuse. It's misogynistic, it's aggressive, it typically makes a person feel threatened, not protected. It's unacceptable, and we have to distance ourselves from that type of correction. Once again, I'm hip hop to the core. Snoop, whether it's her, 50 did the same thing. A lot of brothers on the internet are co-signing that behavior. What I co-sign is holding people accountable. And if we want to hold black people, brown people, white people, any person accountable when they're speaking about individuals who is from our community, let's hold them accountable 100% of the time. But what we can't do is use words like bitch and death threats and things of that nature, because those things, it's funny that it's about rape culture. Those things are associated with rape culture, that power, that power dynamic, that misogynistic thing that many of us have been raised in through patriarchy our entire lives. We have to hold each other accountable. So I wanted to make this post saying we can hold each other accountable, hold the community accountable, hold the media accountable, but we have to distance ourselves, and we have to verbally say it's unacceptable for a sister to get dragged and threatened and called out of her name publicly in that manner. We have that's unacceptable on every level, and we have to say that that has to become the community standard, right? I appreciate those who want to stand up for Kobe. I appreciate, because once again, from my perspective, he was an excellent brother. He was he had some flaws. We all have flaws. So we don't want the flaws to automatically get highlighted on the day of his death or right after his death. And if it's going to be done, that's cool, right? Media, the media, journalists, they all have a obligation to highlight certain questions. But it's our obligation to make sure we hold their feet to the fire and say it has to be done with a level of integrity, a level of fairness. And when that's not being done, we should have no problems with speaking and voicing our opinion on it. But under no conditions should a sister ever get dragged, publicly or privately, being called out of her name and being threatened. So we have to distance ourselves from such aggression, from such misogyny and such disrespect. We have to do better and be better. And this message is primarily to the brothers in this instance. We have to continue our message. If we're holding her accountable for asking the question, we have to hold each other accountable for how we respond to black women publicly and privately. So we'll continue this conversation another time, go a little bit more in depth, but I just want to put this video out there real quick. All right, peace.